September 3, 1943. 0617 hours. 18,000 feet above land, New Guinea. Saburo Sakai pulled 3 Gs into the turn. Sweat stung his eyes. The twin-boom P-38 filled his gun sight exactly where it should be. 64 kills taught you patterns. 2 years of war taught you certainty. The American fighter would roll left. It always rolled left. Slow. Predictable. Dead. He squeezed. The P-38 snapped right. Impossibly fast. Matched his turn radius. Exceeded it. Sakai's rounds tore empty sky. The Lightning's guns tracked onto him. He heard the sound every pilot fears. That deep hammering chatter. 50 caliber rounds chewing air 6 feet from his canopy. Saburo Sakai. Pearl Harbor veteran. 64 confirmed kills. Ran for his life. He dove. Hard. The P-38 followed. Stayed glued to his 6. He pulled out at 2,000 feet. Lungs burning. Vision tunneling. The American broke off. Climbed away. Didn't even chase him to the deck. Sakai landed at Rabaul 20 minutes later. Hands shaking. He told his wingman what happened. The wingman laughed. Called it combat fatigue. Said the Lightning couldn't turn. Everyone knew that. Physics didn't change. 3 days later. September 6th. Lieutenant Hiroshi Nishizawa engaged 4 P-38s northeast of Finschhafen. Nishizawa had 87 kills. 87. He was careful. Patient. Never took bad angles. He reported the same thing Sakai did. The Lightnings moved differently. Rolled faster. Turned tighter. One nearly killed him in a head-on reversal that shouldn't exist. Command didn't believe him either. September 9th. Captain Takeo Tanamizu. 53 kills. Dead. Is 0 found offshore. 1450 cal holes stitched canopy to tail. The pattern said P-38. Tanamizu never made mistakes. Never. September 11th. Lieutenant Kenji Okabe. 31 kills. Dead. Wreckage scattered across Huon Gulf. Witnesses said he was fighting a single P-38. Even match. Then the Lightning did something. Something fast. Something wrong. Okabe's plane disintegrated. September 14th. Flight Officer Satoshi Yoshino. 19 kills. Dead. His last radio call said the P-38 rolled inside his turn. Inside. Zeros owned the turn fight. Yoshino was 23 years old. September 18th. Warrant Officer Junichi Sasai. 27 kills. Dead. His squadron commander watched it happen. Watched Sasai set up a perfect deflection shot. Watched the P-38 snap away like it weighed nothing. Watched the American come around and kill Sasai in 4 seconds. They kept dying. The whispers started. Quiet. Between missions. In the maintenance tents. In the ready rooms where pilots didn't laugh anymore. They moved differently. 3 words. Said low. Like a curse. Like admitting it made it real. Japanese intelligence pulled every crashed P-38 they could find. Tore them apart. Engines. Same right or 1820s. No modifications. Airframes. Standard production. No experimental alloys. Control surfaces. Factory specification. Nothing. They found nothing. One mechanic noticed scoring on an aileron cable. Unusual wear pattern. Fresh. He filed a report. Described the marks. Suggested further analysis. The report went into a folder. The folder went into a cabinet. Nobody read it. Nobody cared. Piano wire scoring looked like normal wear. Like 1,000 other scratches on 1,000 other cables. 114 Japanese pilots died wondering what changed. They never learned. The answer was 5,000 miles east. 2 months earlier. July 31st, 1943. 2,340 hours. Port Moresby, New Guinea. A maintenance tent. Single kerosene lantern. Mosquitoes thick as smoke. Technical Sergeant James McKenna sat on an oil drum. Right arm wrapped in filthy gauze. Blood seeped through. Shrapnel from a mortar round 3 days prior. Medic said don't use the arm. Said it needed rest. McKenna didn't have time for rest. He held 6 inches of piano wire. Bent into a Z shape. Examined it under the lamp. The wire came from a broken instrument in the officer's mess. An old upright piano someone shipped over for morale. Keys didn't work. Strings rusted. McKenna salvaged one. Coiled it in his footlocker for 2 weeks. Didn't know why. Just felt useful. Now he knew why. The P-38 sat 30 feet away. Tail number 42 to 12,867. His bird. Everyone called her Ghost. McKenna had crewed her for 11 months. Knew every rivet. Every oil stain. Every place the frame cracked and was welded back together. He loved that plane. Hated that plane. Watched 14 pilots fly her. Watched 4 of them die. The problem was simple. The aileron control cables had 3/8 inch of slack. Factory specification. Lockheed said it was necessary. Prevented cable snap under high G loads. But that slack meant delay. You pulled the stick. The cable stretched. Then the aileron moved. Half a second. Maybe less. Felt like nothing on the ground. In a turning fight with a zero, it was the difference between shooting and getting shot. McKenna told his CO. Captain Morrison. Told him twice. Morrison said Lockheed engineers knew more than a sergeant from Ohio. Told McKenna to focus on his job, which was changing spark plugs and patching bullet holes, not redesigning control systems. McKenna told the squadron commander, Major Hendricks. Hendricks laughed. Said if the cables needed tightening, Lockheed would have tightened them. Said McKenna should stick to wrenches, not aerodynamics. He told the other mechanics. They shrugged. Said orders were orders. Said you don't fix what ain't officially broken. Said messing with control cables could get you court-martialed. Or worse, could get a pilot killed. Then you'd hang. So McKenna stopped telling people. July 29th. Lieutenant Danny Kowalski took Ghost up for a dawn patrol. Engaged 3 zeros over Salamaua. Kowalski was good. 26 years old. Philadelphia. Played semi-pro baseball before the war. Fast hands. Faster instincts. The kind of pilot who saw angles before they existed. He got 1 0. Damaged another. The third one got him. Witnesses said Kowalski almost had the shot. Almost. The zero rolled. Kowalski rolled. Half a second late. The zero's guns found him first. Kowalski crashed 10 miles inland. They found his body 3 days later. Cockpit burned black. Dog tags melted to his ribs. McKenna didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Lay on his cot. Listened to the jungle. Heard the artillery in the hills. Heard the screams from the field hospital. Smelled burning fuel and rotting vegetation and his own infected arm. Thought about Kowalski. Thought about that half second. Thought about orders. About court-martials. About doing nothing and watching more pilots die. July 31st, 2,340 hours. He made his decision. The piano wire weighed 4/10 of a pound. Barely anything. Cigarette weight. He threaded it through the cable turnbuckle. Looped it twice. Twisted it tight. The Z-bend acted like a spring. Added constant tension. Removed the slack. Took 15 minutes to install. His arm bled through the gauze. Soaked his sleeve. Dripped onto the tarmac. He didn't stop. When he finished, he sat back. Stared at the modification. It looked like nothing. A few inches of wire. A mechanic's improvisation. The kind of field fix you'd see on 100 aircraft. Unremarkable. Invisible. He thought about removing it. Thought about Morrison's voice. Hendricks laughed. Thought about the regulations. The manual. The proper channels. Then he thought about Kowalski's melted dog tags. He left the wire in place. August 1st, 0530 hours. Captain Ray Lynch pre-flighted Ghost. Didn't notice anything. Why would he? McKenna had hidden the wire behind the standard turnbuckle assembly. Lynch was a good pilot. 31 kills. Methodical. Not flashy. He launched at 0600. 4-plane patrol. Hunting Japanese bombers near Madong. They found 6 zeros instead. Lynch engaged. Rolled into a hard right turn. The stick responded instantly. No delay. No mush. The ailerons bit air like they'd been waiting. Hungry. Lynch didn't understand. Didn't question. Training took over. He stayed inside the zero's turn. Matched it. The Japanese pilot looked confused. Pulled harder. Lynch pulled harder. Stayed glued. The zero tried to roll out. Lynch rolled first. Triggered a 2-second burst. The zero came apart. Wings separated. Spun into the sea. Lynch landed at 0720. Told the debrief officer Ghost flew different. Better. Smoother. The officer wrote it down. Didn't care. Pilots always said stuff like that. Adrenaline. Imagination. Confirmation bias. McKenna said nothing. Watched Lynch taxi in. Watched him climb out. Watched him light a cigarette and laugh with his wingman. Felt something in his chest. Not pride. Relief. Terrible, guilty relief. August 3rd. Lieutenant Bill Carson flew Ghost. Engaged 2 zeros near Wewak. Killed both. Said the plane responded like it read his mind. McKenna smiled. Checked the wire that night. Still holding. Still invisible. August 7th. Lieutenant Tommy Riggs flew Ghost. 4 zeros. Killed 3. The 4th ran. Riggs came back talking fast. Talking loud. Said he'd never felt a P-38 move like that. Said it was like flying a completely different aircraft. Other pilots asked what he meant. Riggs couldn't explain. Just said it was faster. Tighter. More alive. McKenna started installing the wire on other planes. Always at night. Always alone. He told no one. Logged no paperwork. Used piano wire he'd scavenged from 3 more ruined instruments. Worked through the pain in his arm. Infection spreading. Fever setting in. Didn't matter. The wire worked. Pilots were surviving. That's all that mattered. August 10th. Captain Morrison saw McKenna working late. Asked what he was doing. McKenna said routine maintenance. Morrison grunted. Walked away. Didn't look close. Never looked close. August 14th. 5 aircraft modified. Kill ratio starting to shift. Pilots didn't know why. Command didn't notice. Japanese intelligence didn't understand. The war kept grinding. The wire kept saving lives. And McKenna kept bleeding into the Pacific night. August 19th. Major Hendricks called McKenna into his tent. McKenna thought he'd been caught. Thought about the court-martial. The stockade. The disgrace. Hendricks looked at him for a long time. Then asked if McKenna had touched the control systems on any aircraft. McKenna's heart stopped. He said, "No, sir. Regulation maintenance only, sir." Hendricks stared. Didn't believe him. Didn't disbelieve him. Finally said Ghost and 4 other birds were flying better than Spec. Said if McKenna knew anything he should speak up. McKenna said he didn't know anything. Hendricks dismissed him. McKenna walked out. Hands shaking. Arms screaming. Kept walking. August 24th. 7 aircraft modified. Then 9. Then 12. The wire spread through the squadron like a secret. A Ghost improvement. Pilots noticed. Started requesting specific aircraft. The ones that moved right. The ones that felt different. They didn't know why. McKenna never told them. Just kept installing. Kept hiding. Kept bleeding. September 1st, 1943. 0700 hours. 17 P-38s launched from Port Moresby. 12 had McKenna's wire. They intercepted a Japanese bomber formation near La. 16 Zeros escorting. The fight lasted 11 minutes. 8 Zeros destroyed. 2 P-38s damaged. 0 American fatalities. The Japanese pilots radioed back. Confused reports. Said the Lightnings moved wrong. Moved fast. Moved like Zeros. Command thought it was code. A trick. Some new American tactic. It wasn't a tactic. It was 6 inches of piano wire. September 3rd. Saburo Sakai's near death. The moment he ran. The moment the whispers started. Japanese command escalated. Ordered every available Zero to hunt P-38s. Told their aces to restore order. Restore the kill ratio. Restore Japanese air superiority. 27 Zeros launched. 14 didn't come back. September 9th. Commander Minoru Genda. Tactical Air Operations. Rabaul. He sat in his office. Reviewed the lost reports. 14 Zeros in 6 days. Against P-38s. P-38s that used to be easy kills. Predictable kills. His best pilots were dying. His veteran aces were requesting transfers. Requesting ground duty. Faking illness. Genda didn't understand. He'd flown against Lightnings in 1942. Knew their limitations. Knew their weaknesses. Something had changed. Something invisible. He sent a priority request to Tokyo. Requested technical analysis. Requested intelligence assessment. Requested any information on new American modifications. Tokyo sent back nothing useful. Said American production records showed no changes. Said P-38 specifications unchanged since June. Said Genda's pilots were fatigued. Overworked. Seeing ghosts. Genda didn't believe that. His pilots weren't fatigued. They were terrified. September 12th. He authorized recovery of 3 crashed P-38s. Paid local scouts. Risked patrols. Dragged the wreckage back to Rabaul. Engineers examined everything. Found nothing. Genda ordered them to look again. Closer. Smaller. Find what we're missing. They looked. For 3 days. Torn metal. Burned wires. Shattered instruments. One engineer noticed cable scoring. Mentioned it. Genda asked what it meant. Engineer said nothing. Normal wear. Genda ordered him to look at the other wrecks. Same scoring. Same pattern. Fresh. The engineer said it could be anything. Maintenance, battle damage, vibration. Genda felt something. Couldn't name it. Couldn't prove it. Sent the report anyway. Tokyo filed it. Never responded. The answer was there. 6 inches. Hidden in wreckage. Hidden in plain sight. The perfect countermeasure. Simple. 8-minute installation. It could have saved dozens of Japanese pilots. Could have neutralized the American advantage. But it was too small. Too simple. Too invisible. Nobody knew to look for it. September 18th. 1,430 hours. Port Moresby. McKenna collapsed during an engine swap. Fever spiked to 104. Arm fully infected. Medics rushed him to the field hospital. Gave him sulfa. Drained the wound. Told him he'd lose the arm if he didn't rest. McKenna said he couldn't rest. Medics said he didn't have a choice. They strapped him to a cot. Kept him there for 6 days. He lay there, sweating, shaking. Listened to the war outside. Heard planes launching. Heard them returning. Heard the mechanics working. Heard them talking. They didn't know about the wire. Still didn't know. McKenna wanted to tell them. Wanted to teach them. Wanted the modification official. Recognized. Safe. But he was just a sergeant. Bleeding in a tent. With no authority. No voice. No proof. September 24th. McKenna returned to duty. Arm in a sling. Fever broken. Captain Morrison assigned him to light maintenance. Told him no more flight line work. No more aircraft systems. McKenna nodded. Obeyed. Watched other mechanics service the birds. Watched them miss the wire. Work around it. Never see it. He wanted to scream. Wanted to grab them. Show them. Instead he changed oil filters. Restocked toolkits. Stayed quiet. October 1st. 23 aircraft had the modification. Squadron kill ratio was 3-1 in American favor. Pilots were confident. Aggressive. Japanese patrols avoided engagement. Command noticed. Sent congratulatory messages. Praised pilot skill. Praised training. Praised leadership. Never mentioned maintenance. Never mentioned McKenna. Never mentioned the wire that made it possible. October 14th. Lockheed sent a technical representative. Civilian engineer. Came to inspect high-performing aircraft. Wanted to understand why certain P-38s exceeded performance metrics. He examined Ghost. Examined 6 others. Found McKenna's wire. Stared at it for 10 minutes. Asked who installed it. Crew chief said he didn't know. Field modification. Probably some mechanic. Engineer asked to meet that mechanic. Crew chief shrugged. Said mechanics rotated. Could be anyone. Engineer photographed the wire. Measured it. Took notes. Left 2 days later. Never asked for McKenna by name. McKenna never stepped forward. November 1943. Lockheed integrated the modification into the P-38J production model. Changed the official specs. Added tensioned aileron cables. 0.4 of a pound. Half-second faster roll rate. They called it an engineering improvement. Issued no credit. Named no source. The modification became standard. Invisible. Forgotten. December 1943. McKenna was rotated stateside. Arm healed. Service complete. He returned to Ohio. Worked in a tool and die shop. Married. Had 2 daughters. Never talked about the war. Never talked about the wire. Never filed for recognition. Never claimed credit. Died in 1980. Quiet. Unknown. His obituary said he served in the Pacific. Said he was a mechanic. Said he was survived by his wife and daughters. Nothing about the wire. Nothing about the 114 Japanese pilots. Nothing about the 80 to 100 American lives saved. Nothing. Saburo Sakai survived the war. 64 kills. He became a Buddhist priest. Wrote his memoirs. Toured America in the 1970s. Met P-38 pilots. Shook their hands. Told them stories. Always asked the same question. What changed in September 1943? Why did the lightnings move differently? No one could tell him. Most didn't remember. Some guessed. Said maybe better tactics. Maybe better pilots. Sakai didn't believe that. He'd fought better pilots. This was something else. Something mechanical. Something small. In 1979, a researcher showed him Lockheed's December 1943 modification notes. The tensioned aileron cables. 0.4 of a pound. Sakai read it 3 times. Asked when it was first used. Researcher said August or September. Field modification. Origin unknown. Sakai closed his eyes. Sat quiet for a long time. finally said one word. Wire. Just wire. He kept a photograph of AP-38 on his wall until he died. Not in hatred. In respect. For the mechanic who broke the rules. For the engineer who stayed silent. For the 6 inches that changed everything. The wire lives on. Standard in every P-38J. Every P-38L. Adopted by other aircraft. Corsairs. Mustangs. Hellcats. No one knows where it started. No one remembers McKenna's name. His service record sits in a National Archives box. Standard maintenance notation. Honorable discharge. No commendations. No medals. No mention of the modification that saved lives and shifted the Pacific Air War. Ghost was scrapped in 1946. Tail number 42 to 12,867. Cut apart in a California surplus yard. Sold for aluminum. The control cables were saved. Routine salvage. They sat in a depot warehouse for 30 years. Were sold again in 1976. Bought by a collector. He noticed the piano wire. Thought it was interesting. Didn't know what it meant. Didn't know about McKenna. Didn't know about Sakai. Didn't know about the 114 pilots who whispered 3 words before they died. They moved differently. The wire still exists. In a private collection. In Colorado. Silent. Uncredited. 6 inches of piano wire. 0.4 of a pound. The weight of 2 cigarettes. The difference between living and dying. Between winning and losing. Between remembered and forgotten. James McKenna was 34 years old when he installed that first wire. Bleeding. Alone. Unauthorized. Afraid. He didn't do it for glory. Didn't do it for recognition. Did it because pilots were dying. Because he could fix it. Because 6 inches of wire was all it took. And no one would listen. The war moved on. The wire stayed. The hero vanished. That's how it goes sometimes. The smallest changes. The quietest voices. The invisible hands. They shape everything. Win everything. And disappear. Let me know where you're tuning in from tonight.